Hello, welcome to another creature tutorial. This tutorial is going to teach you the Sprite Frame Manager functionality of Creature. And this is a slight diversion, I guess, from the rest of the tutorials because this touches more traditional animation with an interesting procedural creature twist, as you're going to see. So in Creature, you can, of course, swap in external images, sprites, of course, onto your regions, just like any other 2D animation program that brings forth a very, very powerful feature into Creature, so to speak, because when you swap sprites into the Creature system, they don't just come in as regular sprites, they can actually deform with the bones as well, and so the mesh itself actually deforms, so you can do some super cool effects. Now, before I start this demo, let me just say that I've actually disabled the sprite swapping on this flame over here. Well, this tutorial is going to go through actually animating a flame, which is super cool, right? A warping flame. But what I've done in this demo is I've actually put a bend physics motor on these chain of bones, and they're actually affecting this region, the sprite region over here, okay? And they're going to warp this flame. Now, this flame over here has already been set up with the Sprite Frame Manager. So you're going to see it. It's going to play a sequence of PNG sprite fire flames, and it's gonna, there you go, it's gonna do its fire thing. It's pretty cool, right? And notice how the fire actually warps with the bones, so that's cool. Now the one on the right doesn't do anything yet because I haven't actually set up the Sprite Frame Manager, which is what we're gonna do, okay? So before you begin, you obviously need a series of sprite frames of PNG sequences, all of the same size if you want to animate them. And how do you activate the Sprite Frame Manager? Well, first of all, you check this Enable Image Swap on the region itself. When you select the region, enable that, okay? Then you click on Image Swap, all right? Now it's going to have two options. Click on the first option that brings up the Sprite Frame Manager, and you notice I already have a series of sprite frames imported. If you want to import more, you just click on Import Image, and you can just select a bunch of images you want to import, whatever you want. In this case, I imported a series of fire frames, okay? But it doesn't have to be that way. All right, so now you have the sequence all imported in. The next thing you want to do, let's say you want to do something really simple. If you want to just do a weapon swap, for example, or swap the face of a character, what do? Well, it's just selecting, let's say, this frame over here. Okay, let's select this frame over here. And you just say set. And notice it changed, right? So now, there we go, let's change the sprite. So I can move over to, say, this frame. And then I can go back again, and I can select another frame, and I say set, and I'll swap it in at that keyframe, right? So now, you notice it swaps, right? Let me play that. There you go. So it swaps between the two keyframes, and you can also see you can also see where it's swapping in the timeline itself. So if you look at, for example, this guy over here, let me just make the timeline smaller. There you go. See, so it's swapping at frame 25 from frame 0. So you can key these values directly using the image swap function. Okay, so you just put in another. If I put another key, say at frame 15, let's try it. Let's put a something like this. Okay, so there you go. So at frame 0, and then I step forwards, and at frame 15, I swap to this, and then up to on, I swap to this. Okay, so that's what's required. And the other thing that you might find useful is you're probably asking what are the ratio, the dimensions, or the ratio. It can be any dimension, of course, but what's the ratio of the sprite I can swap with? Well, click on the region you want to swap on, click on Tools, I believe, yeah, and then click on Determine Sprite Swap Dimensions. Click on that, and it's going to say the ratio is actually 1:1. Okay, in this case it's 1:1, but in other cases it might not be. So then you just prepare a bitmap that's 1:1 and you're set. All right. Okay, so that's sprite swapping, and now if you want to do simple swapping of facial expressions, that's what you do. You just go on to whatever keyframe you care about, and then you go in and you just click set, and you just change your face to the next expression, or fire to the next expression, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and you are done. Now then your question is, okay, so how is this guy done? Because this seems like there's a ton of frames. Am I going to have to go into every single frame, every keyframe, and literally manually click image swap and set it? Of course you don't, right? That would be insane. I would not recommend that either. So let's clear these keyframes again. All right, so how do we automate that? That's what Creature is for. Let's go to the first keyframe. Well, again, go back to image swap, and you noticed I can actually multi-select these images. So if I do this, hold down a control key, and that multi-selects. Okay, let me try again. Hold down a control key, and then just multi-select the images you care about. Now you notice there's a number at the bottom of the selected image. That determines the order. So this says this is the first image, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Okay? And what's going to happen now? If I click set, okay, it's going to actually set these 6 images directly into the timeline. Okay? With a frame delta of 1. This means it's going to set this at every frame. This might not be what you want because you want some kind of pause, a slight pause in the animation since we only have 6 frames. So we can give a slight pause of 6, okay? But this only sets it for one time, right? We probably want to repeat this because it's a fire animation, right? We want fire to keep going for the entire duration of the animation. So we just change the repeat now. This is a repeat. So you can set it to something really crazy, like 1,000. Doesn't matter. Something, a really high number. And we click set now. Watch what happens. Look at that. So it's set all the fire swapping animations and keep them at the delta we wanted, and it's basically key them till probably the end of the animation. And now if we play it, there you go. That's how the fire animation is done, right? And so that's how the left one was done as well. It's a very powerful feature. So I had the delta set at a lower pace, so at 6, so it's slower. So we can obviously change that. We can change that again, right? We can obviously change that if you want some fire animation to be more rapid. Okay, so let's clear these knots really quickly, and let's try again. This time around, we're going to set a lower delta. So we're going to set a lower delta. So let's go back again. Let's do an image swap. Let's put these guys in. Let's have a delta of 3, and let's set. Okay, and now let's see what happens. There you go. Very cool. Very fluid fire that actually deforms with the bones. That's super cool. So you actually have sprite swaps that deform with the bones and repeat themselves if you want them with a specific frame delta. So that's how you use a sprite frame manager. Thanks for watching this video.